Hello and welcome back to Retirement Ready TV, Cleveland's very best resource for up-to-date retirement planning strategies. I'm Michelle Davidson, and we are so fortunate to have Tim and Laura Schultz
We're back.
from right here in the CLE to help guide us. We're so glad you're here.
Thank you. Good to be here.
All right, well, retirement seems like such a far-off goal sometimes, and daunting when you add on taxes and what people should do to make it less confusing, and it can feel so overwhelming.
Absolutely. All the time. People come in our office all the time, and they're nervous. It's scary because when you meet with the retirement planner, we're going to ask you certain questions that, might be a little personal, but we need to do those to listen and figure out where you are and how we can help get you to that dream retirement.
And what we say is, whatever you do for a living, let's say you're a architect or a nurse. We can't do those things. We don't know how to build a house or set a broken bone or give an IV, but why do people feel like they need to handle their money themselves?
That's a great point.
There are folks out there that have expertise, that have tools that just the ordinary folks don't have, because the retirement rules are always changing.
Always changing.
And as retirement planners, we can really help people who've done their job. Your job is to save money for retirement, right? It's really important when you feel confused to lean on a financial professional that can help you set you on the right path for retirement, because it's a whole different strategy than all those years that you're working and accumulating money.
That's a great point, Laura. I mean, when people come in our office and when they have those other jobs, how can they think they know what we do? Because we do this all the time. This is our chosen profession. You just need to find somebody you trust and lean on them, because we do have the tools and software that the average person just doesn't have.
And can take all your hard work and put the finishing touches, that bow around it, all those years you've saved. We can just really prepare you for retirement, because it's really all about the plan. You need a plan when you get to that point.
Help melt that anxiety away.
Yes.
No need to deal with that, right?
I love that, yes.
So what is it about tax planning that makes people kind of roll their eyes and want to hide?
Yeah.
It's like the word tax planning. Well,
It's scary. That's a scary word, right?
We love to talk about taxes.
We do.
We're weird like that. Doesn't necessarily make us, super popular when we're at a cocktail party, but
Not yet, yeah. One of these days, maybe.
maybe. But it really is important, because at the end of the day, for our clients, we want them to keep the most amount of money in their pockets, right? We've been talking about you've been saving for 20, 30, 40 years. You should be able to spend that in retirement or pass it along to your heirs. We should not be giving it to the government. We want to pay the least amount of tax dollars that we legally can. Remember, I'm a lawyer by trade, so legally is super important.
we appreciate that.
Well said, Laura. Yes, we specialize in distribution, and that's important, because remember, when you start out right out of college and those 2, 3, maybe 4 decades of your working career, you are accumulating money. And now when you're in retirement or approaching retirement, you're coming into that distribution phase where that big portfolio that you've worked so hard for to build up, now you have to start taking distributions from that to get you through retirement. People forget how long retirement can be. And I say this a lot when we're talking to groups, from birth to that senior prom. Remember that senior? I guess the girls are always taller than us when we're dancing. That's only 18 years. And in retirement, it could be 25 ladies, with healthcare, it could be 30 years of retirement. It is a long time to be in that distribution phase of your life.
And on top of that, for many years, the traditional wisdom has been save that money in your tax deferred accounts, right?
Yeah.
Your traditional IRAs, 403Bs, 401Ks,
457.
That's another. That's another.
Like,
that's another.
blame the
reason.
IRS. They make it so confusing.
That's another reason people glaze over when you start talking about tax planning. There's all these different accounts that are named differently, but they mean the exact same thing. And that's, way back when in your 20s, you made your first contribution. Let's say you put $5,000 in. You didn't pay taxes then. You got a tax deduction, which felt awesome when you got that tax return when you were 20. But since then, that $5,000 has been growing over maybe 40 years. And now it's, $50,000. You've paid no taxes on that. So when we start taking that money out in retirement, all of that is taxable. We joke for those tax deferred accounts, those traditional IRAs, 401ks, 403Bs. You have a silent partner in those accounts.
You do.
It's called the IRS.
It is.
And they can change their stake at any point in time. And if you believe, like we do, that taxes are going to go up over the future, that's exactly what's going to happen. And it's out of your control. So we always encourage our clients, start taking control of your taxes if you can. Pay taxes today. We know what taxes are today. If you think they're likely to go up, pay them today. Get tax-free growth for your lifetime, potentially for legacy as well for your heirs. This is a process of Roth conversions. And, it's something to think about. It doesn't work for everybody. It's not a one-size-fits-all strategy, but it is a very important strategy to keep more money potentially in your pocket.
Yeah, and just to figure out if it's right for you or not, it all starts with a retirement ready review. Just come in, sit down, and see what is the right plan for you.
This was so informative. Thank you so much. And right now we're going to take a quick break, but we'll be right back with more valuable tax strategies. This will continue. Lots of education happening for myself and everyone at home.
And hopefully no more dancing from my husband.
Oh, you're dancing. I missed the dancing.
Oh, he was dancing.
Yeah, a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's save that for later.
Yeah, that's a teaser.
That's a good teaser right there. And if you're watching at home and would like to learn more, receive a no obligation retirement ready toolkit, or set up a call with Tim and Laura and get answers to your specific questions about your retirement readiness situation, you can just call or text the number that's on your screen right now.
It's always that one easy number, 440-345-6900.
You can call or you can text the word ready to that number, and automatically you'll receive a link to receive your own retirement readiness toolkit, which can be super helpful, even addresses some of these tax planning issues.
More retirement talk and dancing after the break.
We went to Maine this summer. We go to Florida a couple times a year. We took the grandkids up to Michigan fishing, just living the dream right now.
Yeah, that's the one thing we really wanted to do, was travel and adventure in our retirement. And we weren't even sure before, what we'd be able to do. But after partnering with Tim and Laura, it's like, okay, we're good. Tim and Laura were able to show it to us, visually show us, where it would go and how it would grow and how to diversify. And that, we'd be able to actually have fun and leave a legacy for the kids. When we come in, it's like visiting friends, and it's a partnership. They educated us so much. I thought we were fairly, knowledgeable about it, but when it comes down to it, there was a lot of missing pieces that were more about preserving what we have. Everything that they do is, pinpointed to us. This is our family.
Take control of your future. Preservation Retirement Services. Get retirement ready. Call today.
And welcome back to Retirement Ready TV. I'm with Tim and Laura Schultz of Preservation Retirement right here in Cleveland, and we are talking taxes today. Okay, so what if you're one of those lucky few who don't have to take withdrawals from your tax-deferred accounts to cover your monthly budget, let's say?
Yeah.
Is tax planning still an important consideration?
It is. And I want to stress lucky few, because most people do when you retire and that paycheck goes away. Remember, we don't call it retirement here, Preservation Retirement Services. We call it voluntarily unemployed. And when that happens and that paycheck goes away, most of the time there is that income gap, right? Because your budget is still there. I mean, don't hate the messenger, but those bills still have to be paid. And when your income was up here and it goes away, most of the time there's a gap. So most people do have to draw upon their assets to cover that gap. However, if, like you mentioned, you are one of the lucky few where you have maybe a wonderful pension, or maybe Social Security is really high, or your budget, and your money going out every month is low, and you don't have that gap, then you don't have to take that money. But then what you're doing is your money's growing, right? And it's growing tax deferred, and it's growing.
And you feel like growth is good usually, but
you're feeding that monster where eventually it's going to catch up to you, and that's the thing. You do have to pay taxes. That's what we always talk about, right, Laura?
Yeah, there's this ugly thing looming out there.
Oh, boy.
It's called RMDs,
What?
Required Minimum Distribution. And while they've changed the age several times, right now it's either 73 or 75, depending on what year you were born.
Yep.
The idea of RMDs, required minimum distribution, the key is that R, required.
Yeah.
And the idea is the government says at some point in time, enough is enough with this tax deferred thing.
Stop.
We want our money. You've been deferring paying taxes on these accounts sometimes for 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
And so the government wants their tax dollars. So they say at a certain age, you have to start withdrawing money from your tax deferred accounts, whether that's your 401k, your IRA, or 403b. So even if you're one of those lucky few that doesn't need to take, $30,000 a year, you are going to have to start taking, it starts right at around 3.9% of whatever your overall portfolio value is out. And so, whatever taxes are in the future, again, we can't control that. Let's say you have $1 million in your IRA. If you have to take 3.9% of that and you don't need that money to pay your income gap, that's just money you're paying out in taxes. So the only way around that, because that are required, you have to take it out. If you don't, you pay a sizable penalty, is to think about converting some of that tax deferred money to a Roth IRA now, pay the taxes today, because Roth IRAs are exempt from RMDs. You know, RMDs can be confusing, Tim. Is that something you might want to use your Retirement Ready Light Board to show us?
That would be a good idea to go to the Retirement Ready Light Board and show this, because I'm a visual person. A lot of times, if I can draw it out, it's easier to understand.
And we appreciate that.
So I'm going to go.
So be on your way.
All right.
We'll check back with you in a little bit.
See you later, Tim.
All right. Well, Tim makes his way over to that light board. You know, we have another question this week that's been sent to us from one of your favorite clients.
Yes.
Who's agreed to let us share it on the air.
Yes.
So let's see if Andrea has a question for you.
Are there any tax efficient strategies that I should be aware of when withdrawing funds from my retirement accounts?
Well, that's a great question. And tax planning is important for women just for the same reasons we've been talking about, right? You want to save money on taxes, of course. But what I find for a lot of women that participate in our Women Get Retirement Ready program and that really, you know, lean on us for tax advice is legacy is particularly important for women. Not that it isn't for men, but I find that a lot of my female clients, they're really thinking about the legacy that they're leaving behind, whether that's to their children or grandchildren or loved ones. And, you know, it's hard to keep track of all of the rules that change when it comes to our retirement accounts, right? The Secure Act and all the numbers, it can be so confusing. But one big change that happened when it comes to taxes and then when it comes to legacy is back in 2019, the government passed what's called the Secure Act. And it used to be for years and years and years, if you left your IRA, your traditional IRA, to your children, they were able to take distributions from that over their whole life. RMDs, just like what we were talking about with Tim. But it was a little bit at a time. They could what's called stretch it, called a stretch IRA, over their entire lifetime. So from a tax perspective, it wasn't making a big impact on folks' taxes. But with the Secure Act, the rules changed such that most non-spousal beneficiaries, so meaning your children, most children, have to spend those tax-deferred accounts over 10 years. And that may not sound like a big deal, but when you think that many women have their life savings really primarily in tax-deferred accounts, let's say you have $1 million in your IRA that you haven't spent when you pass away, and your child has to spend that $1 million over 10 years, that's like having a job of $100,000 every single year. And let's say your daughter, who you want to leave your legacy to, is a doctor, and she's already making $200,000 a year. If we add another $100,000 on, that's pushing her up into a higher and higher tax bracket, and it's eating away at the legacy that these ladies are able to leave behind. So we always say tax-free growth is great for women during their life, especially with longevity that we know us ladies have. It's great to have tax-free growth during your lifetime, but really when you're thinking about that legacy, that gift you can leave behind to your loved ones, if you can keep as much of that money, pay taxes now, but keep as much of that money tax-free to your loved ones, that is a huge saver, and it really maximizes the legacy that you can leave behind to your loved ones. A lot of women are really engaged in these tax planning strategies once they think about it that way, because it really helps them meet those legacy goals that they're trying to meet.
Thank you so much for hearing us and seeing us. We appreciate that. Now let's listen to Tim over there at the Retirement Ready Light Board.
I want to know more about RMDs.
Me too.
Welcome, everybody, to the section of the show called the Retirement Ready Light Board. And today I'm going to talk about RMDs. RMDs, which stands for Required Minimum Distribution. Let me be clear, that's different from OMDs, which is optional minimum distributions. No, required. And why is it required? It's because of taxes. Think about this for a second. The government loves taxes. And for most of you, the RMD actually doesn't really apply, because when you retire, remember, when you're working, your income is here and your expenses are down here. And when you retire, remember, at Preservation Retirement Services, we don't call it retirement, we call it voluntarily unemployed. But at that time, when you do become voluntarily unemployed, your income goes away. You still have your expenses. So usually there is a gap there, right? And that gap needs to be covered by distributions coming in. So most people do have to take out distributions from all of their assets. However, if you are one of the people that are lucky enough that you do not have to do that, maybe you have a wonderful pension, maybe you have a very high Social Security, or maybe your expenses are just really low and you don't have to be forced to take money from your accounts every month to live off of, then you are in the best place because you can allow your assets just to grow. Well, the government doesn't like you. They want you to take that money because when you take the money, you have to pay taxes. So that's the key. That's what required minimum distribution is all about. And it's very important to know this, that the age that we have taken, that you're forced to take required minimum distributions from, has gone up over the years. So I have a little chart here just to show you. Boom, 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 boom. Up until 2019, most people remember the RMD age was 70 and a half, right? That was the age that you were forced to take money out of your accounts if you did not have to before and pay taxes to the government. Well, that has changed. In 2020, that went up to 72. Well, then it changed again. And in 2023, it went up to 73 years old, where we are right now. Now, it is going to go up in the future. That is going to happen roughly around 2033. It's going to go up to 75 years old. That depends on your birthday, when you were born. But right now, it is 73. That is the key age. So once again, if you are one of the lucky few that does not have to take money out of your accounts and you're just letting it grow, which is the perfect situation for legacy, and you're letting that money grow tax deferred, 73 is the first age you need to take RMDs from. Now, here's a couple interesting tidbits about RMDs. That first year that you have to take RMDs from, you could actually wait until April 1st of the following year to take your RMD. But for the most part, it should always be done on the calendar year, meaning December 31st. Here at Preservation Retirement Services, we kind of block off the first week of November. We call that our RMD week, and we make sure that all of our clients have RMDs taken care of, because it does take time to go through the process and get those distributions taken care of before December 31st. So that is key. Another important thing about RMDs, a lot of people think that you have to take RMDs from each one of your qualified accounts. And the thing is, a lot of people have a lot of qualified accounts. So for example, if you have a bunch of qualified accounts, you could have as many, more the better, right? It's a lot of paperwork to take RMDs from each one of these accounts. And maybe that's the right thing to do, but it's not necessary. What you can actually do, if you tally up all of the RMDs from each qualified account and figure out what that total amount is, you only have to take one RMD to cover the lump sum, or it can be two. It's whatever you want. The point is, you don't have to, if you don't want to, take out an RMD from each account. And there's strategies behind that, and you need to talk to your retirement planner to figure out what is the best strategy for you. Everybody that we meet with, all of our clients, once again, that kind of beginning in November, we have a sit down and talk to them and figure out what is their best RMD strategy. I hope that makes sense. I hope that kind of explained a little bit about RMDs, required minimum distributions. I'll see you next week.
That was so fantastic. Tim, come on back in here.
I'm back, ladies.
Thank you so much for breaking it down in a logical way for us.
Did you like that?
Yeah.
That lightboard's really cool, huh?
It is cool.
And
we
it's really
appreciate
helpful
it.
to see things visually.
Visually, a lot. I'm a visual person. I know there's a lot of people out there. So when I can draw it out there, and hopefully my handwriting is not that messy, but it does make sense that way. So I hope that was helpful.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Okay, right now we're going to take another quick break. But if you're watching at home and would like to learn more, receive a complimentary retirement ready kit, or set up a call with Preservation Retirement Services and get answers to your specific questions about your retirement readiness situation, you can call or text the number on your screen.
Same number like always, one easy number, 440-345-6900.
You can call, you can text the word ready to that number, and you'll automatically receive a link to get your own retirement ready toolkit.
After the break, we're going to break down what happens when someone comes to you for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
And like the next steps, how that works. And get the scariness all melting away, right?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
I love it. We'll be right back.
Women have a lot to be proud of. We get a lot done. But too many times, we take care of ourselves last. If you're married, there's a good chance you'll outlive your spouse and all the financial decisions will fall to you. If you're single, it will be up to you to fund your entire retirement. That's a lot to carry by yourself. I'm Laura Schultz, and at Preservation Retirement Services, we can help to take some of that off your shoulders. It's time to put yourself first for once. We look forward to seeing you soon.
Welcome back to Retirement Ready TV, and you have done such a good job explaining some complicated things and making me feel very comfortable and the folks at home feel comfortable. Is that what it's like when they come to see you?
Yeah, I mean, it is complicated. It can be scary. And, Laura and I like to laugh and joke a little bit, but we are really good at our jobs. We do take it serious. And when people come in and see us, we do kind of take them through the whole process. And that is our Retirement Ready roadmap.
And it really starts with a conversation, a visit where we get to know each other and figure out at the end of the day if we're a fit, because we're not always a fit to work with somebody, right? You have to be able to help them in some way. What if they're too young and they don't have any retirement accounts that we could manage for them? What if their only retirement accounts have a surrender penalty attached to them and we can't move them? So we ask a lot of questions about what their goals are in retirement. What are they concerned about? What are the things on their retirement bucket list? And we get into the weeds of income and their assets and all of these things, because at the end of the day, one, we want to make sure we can help them. And two, we want to set ourselves up for that second visit, what we call our strategy visit.
Yeah. The strategy visit comes after that first one. I'm going to go back to the first one quick. I mean, for the first time, probably let me back it up. We are doing more listening than talking. And probably for the first time, someone is sitting down with a retirement planner and actually vocalizing what is on their mind. What are they scared about? Their fears and concerns. So we talk a lot, but really we listen mostly in the first appointment.
And a lot of people say just going through the process of getting ready for the appointment, whether they ultimately we end up working together or not, maybe it's the first time they've organized everything.
Yeah.
We always talk about on the show, Michelle, that financial junk drawer, right? 401k here, IRA here, Roth over here, life insurance plan. We ask everybody to put together a budget. People don't like that.
Yeah, but then they do like it when it's done.
When it's done, right?
Yeah,
Right?
it's fine. Thank you.
But also organize all their assets so we can have a comprehensive conversation about what does your financial picture really look like right now. And people sometimes are like, I felt better even before I got there because now I finally know what I have.
Yep, fair. And after that first visit, then we go into that strategy visit that Laura's talking about. And that is where we're talking kind of on the big picture, what they have, what potential problems that we see, and how we can begin to put together that customized plan to fix things.
And it's called a strategy visit because it's really all about strategy.
Yeah.
We're not talking about products. We're not talking about investments, stocks, bonds, ETFs, annuities, all of those things. We want to get on the same page as we're creating this plan together with clients, because it's not us just saying, this is the plan and take it or leave it. We're working together to find a plan that's right for them. And we have to agree on the strategy first, because that informs the investments, which is the third part of the plan. But we're saying, we think that you should consider maybe we need more diversification. Maybe we should move a piece of your portfolio into a strategy that's less high risk, but built for income. And we'll talk about taxes. I mean, that's what we've been talking today, but we'll say at a high level, we've looked at your tax brackets. We think you should maybe consider converting $40,000 a year for the next 5 or 6 years. And that will result in a tax-free legacy for your children or less RMDs down the road, like we were talking about. Once we agree on that strategy and all kind of get on the same page, then we can really move into that implementation piece, Tim.
And that is the third visit. And that's when we finally start talking product. And that's what we see as a problem in the industry. A lot of retirement plans out there, they start talking product right off the bat. And that is not the way to do it.
Yeah.
We have to
Those are the tools that help us flesh out that strategy, but you got to do the strategy.
You got to figure out the strategy, figure out the plan, and then the products will will solve a problem, but not until that third visit, which is so important.
And then last but not least, of course, we present our plan, right? That's very important.
Customized plan.
Customized plan. And for our clients, it's not just this plan that's kind of floating out in the ether. We break it down to a single page, sometimes a page and a half if it's more complicated, but we write it out in plain English. What is our income plan? How much income are we drawing from your portfolio? Which specific accounts are we taking it out from each month? What is our tax plan? Are we doing Roth conversions? What is our healthcare plan? Because that's a big piece. Healthcare costs in retirement are a concern that are a lot of folks' mind.
When do we need to turn on Social Security? There's strategies there that we get into. There's a lot going on.
Legacy plan, of course. Do we have our accounts set up to avoid probate? Are we using a trust? What is the estate plan? What is our legacy plan? And then the investment plan. But we write it out in plain English in paragraph form. So if people forget, they can always call Tim or I. We're always happy to talk to our clients. But if they forget, where am I going to be taking money again? And how much am I taking?
Right there.
It's right there, and they can decipher it. And then, of course, revisiting the plan and revisiting the strategy at least annually. That's kind of the fourth step in the process, because something could certainly change with our client in a year. Who knows? Life changes.
Life happens.
You have a child unexpectedly move home, an adult child. You decide to buy a second house. You decide to take a huge trip and take your whole family, and you have a big expenditure. That could impact our plan. But also, what if the market's different? What if there's different strategies? What if the tax laws change? We've been talking about taxes today. They're changing all the time. What if there's a big change in the tax laws that we have to address? We want to sit down each year and revisit the plan in our client's personal situation to make sure it's still the best fit.
Yep. It all starts with the Retirement Ready review. And when the client comes into the office, we walk them through that Retirement Ready roadmap. And they're so thankful when we do.
And at the end of that first visit, for folks that are a little anxious, like, I don't know, they think it's going to be like a timeshare presentation or something, right? They come in the office and we're going to lock the doors.
We always said the doors are not locked, and it's okay.
There's only one decision to make. And it's not, do you want to work with Tim and Laura? That's not a decision to be made on the first visit. Yep. The only visit is, do you want to move to that second visit to see the strategy, to see kind of what we're thinking about how we can improve your situation? That's the only decision to make on the first appointment. We're very nice. We're just listening and trying to see if we'd like to work together in the future.
You're very nice and you care.
Thank
we
you.
do.
You do. So what can folks at home watching do to connect with you?
Well, like we say every week, it starts with a simple phone call to the one number, 440-345-6900.
You can call, you can text, you can get your Retirement Ready toolkit if you text READY to that number, or you can schedule a no obligation introductory phone call.
Thank you so much. This has been fun. Another informative show. We'll see you next Saturday.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.